Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on Forza 6 with the Lamborghini Lm002. A rather silly car to begin with, let's face it. However, I am going to be maxing it out and seeing how it will fare around the Virginia International Raceway. Now, this vehicle is going to be, well, very, very powerful. It does have the option to swap into it the Ferrari V12, which means we're going to be getting nearly 1,200 horsepower in the Lamborghini. That's a lot of power for a giant SUV to be having. The control is... I was going to say about the control being dodgy, but that's quite an impressive... That is quite an impressive front aero parts there for it. I'm sure that creates much downforce on the front and on the rear. Ah, yes, that is what we want as a rear wing, to add some downforce there with a roll cage. I'm totally sure that's how aerodynamics work. Tyres, of course, we're going to have some race tyres. One of the big concerns with this, aside from it being difficult to drive, is rolling. Rolling is a very high possibility. Well, we do have some lovely big tyres, 345s on the front, likely to be 345s on the rear as well. They are giant tyres all around on this vehicle. It's going to be a very high possibility that this will tumble over when we get near a corner. Admittedly, the curbs at Virginia, there's a couple of places that are quite bad. The rest, we might be okay. Now, we're not going to have actual grip roll per se. We're not going to go turn around a corner and have the car going up onto two wheels like we would, I have no doubt, if we were driving around in the dry. But yeah, clip a curb wrong and I could well see this thing tumbling over. I wonder how much weight we can actually get out of the vehicle. Apparently I've built one of these before. I have no idea what I was doing with one with one of these, but there we go. Yeah, how light are we going? Of course, we are going to want the roll cage for some more chassis rigidity, but that is going to add a crap ton of weight, so up to 6,800 pounds. Please save about 3,000 pounds, I think. That would be good going. It's miles halfway, right? 1,600 pounds, so we are at 5,200 near enough. And while, yes, bits like the exhaust might save some weight when we upgrade the intercooler and so on, that will increase the weight, so we're probably going to see it come out at about 5,200 pounds. So it is likely to be about the heaviest vehicle that we are going to take around this, or in this series. However, one advantage it does have, it is four-wheel drive. We will be able to put the power down out of the corners very, very easily. I wonder if we can get it. Surely we can't get this into R-Class. No, I don't think we're going to have... I mean, we are going to get it midway through S-Class. You're going to have perhaps higher PI than we had from the Maserati race car that was the benchmark. Admittedly, that's, yeah, considerably better handling than this Lamborghini. We are final couple of parts up to 1,100 horsepower now. Yeah, it does look like we are going to crack the 750 PI. This will throw a bunch more horsepower on, but add a ton of weight, or a fair amount. Like I say, a ton of weight. When the car weighs this much to begin with, adding like 100 pounds on it just doesn't really matter anymore. 1,182 horsepower from the Lamborghini, 837 torque. And we shall stick a flywheel on to finish it off, 5,238 pounds. Well, it's, yeah, going to be an interesting one, this. Of course, to test out this monster, we have come to the Patriot alternate layout of Virginia, where we are going to have 5 laps to go as quickly as possible. Now, the top of the table is going to be pretty damn safe. The NASCAR, the Bugatti Veyron, Hot Wheels Mustang are not going to be worried about the Lamborghini. Should be quite interesting, though, to see how this does compared well, especially Mercedes G-Wagon, a 113.8. That's probably going to be the, well, it's already the closest kind of vehicle to this that has got around in this series. There is, of course, the crazy Mini that has done a 118 too if this has real handling issues. I would expect to beat the Mini, though, the Mini being front-wheel drive with far too much power. It did struggle around this circuit. Brakes may also be a okay, brakes aren't too bad. Coming up towards the first corner here. Oh, the handling is a little bit on the wibbly side. I just turn in, there's no grip, and the back end wants to let go. In fact, this may be, oh God, one of the more oversteery four-wheel drive vehicles that I have driven. Now, this is the curb that we're going to have to watch out for. I say that, we start drifting off towards it. Yep, we're going to get big two-wheel moments down there. It will be relatively easy to roll this. My bigger concern actually at the moment is the real lack of rear end grip. The front end gets turned okay, and for such a big vehicle that's quite nice, but the back end just it just kind of skids. It's not like it's snappy, it just kind of loses grip and will just carry its way across the road, and there does not seem to be a huge amount that I can do about it. It's got a slight mind of its own back there, but never mind. Get slowed down into this penultimate corner and the final turn. I could probably roll it off that inside curb as well if things were, if I took a better line or worse line, depending on which way you look at it. Right, across the line for this opening lap, 121.8 from the Lamborghini. How are we doing straight line speed-wise? 150 miles an hour is about similar, and I can actually get a little bit later under brakes down there as well. That's similar speed as we got from the Maserati race car. While yes, the four-wheel drive is nice, I can pretty much put the power down out of that final corner, no issue. It's still a very, very heavy vehicle, so all of the power makes up for some of the weight, but not quite enough. Ugh. I'm ending up kind of out on that slightly troublesome line, which is not really where I want to be going. Oh, that back end is doing its own thing again. It's a very peculiar. Oh God, turn it up for action too soon to that corner. Yeah, so I can't say I've ever driven a car quite like this, with quite such a, say, it's almost numb. Just the back end, almost no feel to it. Just lets go and very slowly slides across the road, and there's not much that you can really do to stop it. You've got to try and keep putting this power down, because, well, we can't really carry a huge amount in the way of corner speed, so kind of just got to live with it, really. Alright, this is our first flying lap. Does not look like we're really likely to be troubling the G-Wagon. I might be able to find some time, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to find 2 seconds in this vehicle. 155 miles an hour this time. That's too late, I think. Oh, we might get it stopped. We do. Just get it stopped. Okay, we can't quite get away with leaving it that late under braking. Oh, God, we're around. Okay, it starts twitching as well. It's very, very peculiar. Now we are at all manners of wide, and I really want to come back across that direction, but I can't because the curb will spit me on to my roof as we run through this tricky uphill section. When I sort of chose this as a course to go racing around, I really thought some of these narrow sections would cause more issues for vehicles, well, like this one. It's actually not quite as terrible as I feared it might be. I mean, even this is doing relatively well at getting turned through a lot of these corners. We've actually found a fair amount of time, so maybe getting up with the G-Wagon is possible here. Probably going to want second gear out of this final turn. Here we go, Lamborghini. Put all of that mighty power down on to the road. We've got 2 laps to go. 14.1 from the Lm002. Now, if we can get the braking right into this first corner, maybe we can find that few tenths of a second that we need. Oh, got that. I almost got it better that time around. Oh, I can't slow it down. I think it's probably better than last time out. We can still do it. It wasn't better than last time. We can definitely still do that neater. Oh, the understeer as we crest that hill there is really bad. Oh, no, we're going to go around. Oh, just about saved that one. Yeah, it does not like that. It does not like that change of direction at all. Everywhere else, the understeer isn't too bad. Just up there, it just doesn't have the grip to get turned. Back end's back doing its own thing again. We're going to have one more lap. One more lap in an attempt to go quicker than the G-Wagon, an attempt not to end up on our roofs with the Lamborghini. We're going to slide our way massively through that corner. It's not actually that far off in speed to the more sensible vehicles that have gone through that particular turn. Okay, let's get it through this final corner. I don't think we're going quite fast enough to actually roll off of that final curb. Get as good an exit as we can on to the straight. see what we can do when it comes to this final lap. About 0.3 of a second is what we are looking for. Let's get on the brakes, or maybe a smidge early on the brakes, but at least we are neatly through this. Oh, I say neatly through. We just caught the puddle that spat us out wide for the latter part of that corner. Not ideal, really, from the Lamborghini. Indeed, we have lost some time. I'm trying to be more patient in getting on the throttle as we run down towards this S's section. Don't let the understeer catch you out too much down here. Equally, don't let the back end step out of line. Oh, as we clout the curb on the inside there. Please get turned, Lamborghini. Oh, that felt like a good mid-sector. And it was a very good mid-sector, in fact. Come on, we can find some time in this, but you've got to be careful. I still got to remember to get it slowed down. I'm getting the hang of this turn now, one of the arsiest turns on the track. I'm learning my braking for that one. I've got to say, I'm quite impressed by the brakes. I know this isn't going as quickly as some of the lightweight, silly nonsense that has gone here, but it doesn't feel terrible under the brakes despite weighing such a tremendous amount. We are neatly around the final turn. It's across the line. It's a good lap. A 13.4 from the Lamborghini. That's pretty good going, actually. I was wondering, I didn't think we were really ever going to be quite getting that far. Shall we go have? Since we've got a rolly car and we've done our laps now, shall we see if we can roll it off of the curb? Now that I'm trying to, I'm probably going to miss horrendously and not end up on my roof, and that would be a very disappointing thing for me. Here we go. So down here, we run it across the curb. It doesn't go as much as the Mercury. It goes up on two wheels, but it is certainly not quite as much as you got from the Mercury. Yeah, the Lamborghini, actually not too terrible to drive. It could be a lot worse. I don't know why I'm going from third person. I can't see a bloody thing from behind this car. I have one more go. One more go with the Lamborghini. It's not a bad handling car. Not a bad handling car whatsoever. Considering what it is, the rear end is a little loose. I really thought we were going to be a lot slower, though, through here. I really thought we were going to have much more in the way of trouble. There we go. Lamborghini over. That'll do it. Oh, and that's some impressive bouncing. That's some really impressive bouncing from the Forza. Can we have the car back on its wheels now? Thank you. Yeah, it could be a lot worse. I was expecting a lot worse from this. The back end is quite loose, and yes, it will roll over. But a 13.4 is actually quite a respectable time, really. It puts the car into 18th place. It goes quicker than the Mercedes G-Wagon. It goes quicker than the Rolls-Royce Dawn. And it's only a second and a half-ish down on the Caterham R500. You know, Caterham super light track car, pretty much. Yes, the Caterham had its issues with being twitchy, and this does have four-wheel drive that is good for traction and so on, but yeah, I really thought the Lamborghini might be more of a handful around this circuit. Once you've got used to the slightly peculiar oversteering moments, actually not too bad to drive around this circuit. Well, with the Lamborghini completing the laps here, it is now time to find out how quickly it'll go in a straight line. And of course, that means heading to Le Mans. Let's face it, though, the Lamborghini is not exactly the greatest of shapes for doing a speed run. It does have a lot of power. Maybe we'll see 200 out of it. I'm not really sure on that one. No, I think it's very unlikely that we're going to quite get 200. It does, though, look like it's going to beat the G-Wagon and the Aztec, and that is important. We can't have the Aztec going faster than something. That simply will not do. Let's have a little fiddle with the gear ratios. I'm not sure it's actually really going to do a huge amount here. It's like 89 miles an hour is going to be all that we can manage with this. I do have a couple of relatively sizable concerns. While in the wet the vehicle is not capable of grip rolling, there's simply not enough grip available. It can roll off a curb. It's not going to go on two wheels though on its own. In the dry, I have the sneaking suspicion that this will have some big issues. Oh, okay, no, maybe not. Maybe the rear end is just going to let go instead. That is slightly easier to work with, in all honesty. Oh, no, there we go. We're going to have some two-wheeled moments from the Lamborghini here, I suspect, especially coming down these relatively fast corners. We get the up there. Relatively easy up onto its side, but the weird world of Forza physics, in the dry it's very hard to get cars to roll over fully. In the wet, they can do when they get up on their side. Ooh, on the curb. Ah, it's going to get twitchy on me. That's going to spin me round. Messing too much with the roly-poly Lamborghini. Never quite going to end well there, is it? Right, we'll spin you around just to get a bit of a better run up. Oh, no, spun around a little bit too much there. Trying to be too clever and just boot it and go. Right, sorted. Lamborghini onto the straight. In all honesty, it's not likely to take the whole length of this straight here to get up to its 189 miles an hour. Oh, the handling is shockingly poor there. May have turned in as I was expecting a normal car to be able to take the corner, and it just can't do it. It hasn't got a huge amount of... I say it hasn't got a huge amount of grip. I mean, yes, there is plenty of grip available with such giant tyres, but there's so much weight that, yeah, we can't really carry much quarter speed with this. Now we are on to the straight, and we pretty much wait to hit the aero limit of the vehicle. Going to be the high 180 miles an hour. I do have concerns about what we're going to do when we hit the end of this straight around the kink. The bumps, not so much. We should be okay to deal with them, but actually trying to take that corner, I think we're going to have some problems. We could well be up on our side, but we will have to wait and see. We're at 188 miles an hour. Come on, can we get one more? One more mile an hour out of the Lamborghini? Does not look likely. I don't think we're going to be able to. Again, we are pretty much hitting the aero limit across the bumps. Up in the air, are we going to be on two wheels? Only a little bit. Okay, that could have been a lot worse, actually, going around that corner. I only lost a couple of miles an hour, despite bouncing and going on two wheels slightly. So, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting down that section. And the brakes aren't too bad at getting it back under control. Admittedly, it is going, well, 100 miles an hour. Not quite 100 miles an hour, less than we've seen some cars do, but yeah, a fair bit slower. Still, though, for such a large, heavy vehicle, it does get slowed down pretty well. Has been not quite as awful. There's kind of been a theme with a lot of vehicles. I'm expecting some of these vehicles to be really, really awful, and the Lamborghini is a bit tough to drive in a couple of circumstances, but not the horrendous boat that I feared it could be. Straight line speed was always likely to struggle, really. However, it does beat the Mini Cooper. It beats the Mercedes G65 AMG, and it does, of course, beat that Pontiac Aztec to go into 42nd place. Does lose out to the VW Campervan, though, the Willys Jeep and the Fiat 595. Despite all of the power, yeah, it's a terrible aerodynamic shape for doing speed running, but the four-wheel drive does help save it a little bit when it comes to the circuits, and the decent brakes as well. I'm quite impressed with them. It is does a good enough job of getting this crazy monstrosity slowed down. However, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.